All right, welcome to our first live podcast, Sacramento Normal meeting. We're going to go ahead and get right to it because we're running behind. This is Granddaddy Mike Grafton that we all know quite well. He's going to MC our meeting tonight. Jan is selling raffle tickets over here. If you want to get any of these awesome raffle items, there's also a silent auction, so come check it out. And if you brought a new person that's never been here before, you get 2 free tickets. So don't forget to gather your free tickets. All right, let's get a round of applause for Granddaddy Mike.
Thank you, folks. Thank you, folks. First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. You know, it's great to see the turnout. Who is a new person that's not been to a meeting before? Can we show it? See your hands? Okay, and is the person that invited you here?
No, I learned from the website and brought myself.
Okay. 2 free tickets, Jan, over here. And yes, Andy? Andy gets 2 free tickets over here, Jan. And who was our third guest? I saw another hand over here in the back. And who invited you? Heidi. So 2 free tickets up here to Heidi. And thank you all for coming. And you know, gee, this is an exciting time to be in the cannabis industry. This is an exciting time to be in the cannabis movement. I hope you all, like me, count the blessings that we have to bring us to this personal state. But I would like to encourage everyone to join me in a rounding applause for all of us for being here today and for celebrating Cannabis the Plant. Yay for us. Yay for the plant. Okay, that said, we have a number of guest speakers tonight. I'll be introducing them in the following order. Patrick Bergen is going to speak first, then Dale Geringer, then John Lee, and then Rudy Roma. Is Rudy here? Maybe not Rudy Roma. Okay, so I'm going to just expedite moving things along. I'd like to first introduce Patrick Bergen. Patrick Bergen is a tribal law attorney, and he has been representing the tribes and us about their intentions and plans vis-a-vis cannabis. So can we please have a nice warm welcome for me? Very much.
Thanks for having me in your meeting today. So I work for a national law called Frederick Stevenson, has offices all across the United States. And we have lawyers, and all that we do is represent Indian tribes and Indian-owned businesses. So about a year ago, we had a couple clients approach my office and said, hey, we're interested in getting into the California, and their interest was stemmed from their interest, but not to do. They were concerned primarily at that time as to whether or not the tribal lands would be deemed federal property controlled substances act, because as you know, there's prohibition on property. So we took to looking at that issue, and we determined that tribal lands, for purposes of the Controlled Substances Act, do not qualify as federal property. And so we said, look, you have somebody look at this. And so we started working on understanding the case. What you guys have known for a long time is that it's a very unregulated industry, and that cannabis users. And so we were looking at, well, what can we do at the tribal level that will be consistent or coextensive with California law, but will be better regulated and will provide for a better understanding of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in the state. So in the middle of all that analysis, that's when the Department of Justice issued what we refer to as the October policy statement. It's a memorandum that was issued by a guy named Wilkinson to the Office of Tribal Justice and the U.S. Attorney, saying, look, tribes are interested in doing this, and we believe that guidance is due. And so our guidance is that they should be treated at the same level in the same way that states are treated under the Cole Memo. And so that's what the guidance the tribes got. And that was dated in October, but it wasn't released until December. And it actually wasn't released by DOJ. It was released by the media, who I guess I learned about it from a leak. And so once that memo came out in December, the floodgates opened. Our law firm is the largest firm that represents tribes, and we received literally dozens of calls within the first couple of weeks of that memo from tribes all over the country saying, what can we do? And what we said, well, what you can do depends on the state you're in our view. And since there's such a disparity about what's happening around the country in terms of what states allow it, what states don't allow medical use, what states allow adult use, it would be a case by case. So we have a couple clients here in California that are pretty progressive thinking tribes, and so they're already in the process of working through this issue. They've adopted ordinances that, in one sense, look a lot like California law. For example, these tribes create tribally created cooperatives or collectives. They provide cannabis to their patient members. They have stringent regulations in that they actually license the employees of these cooperatives. The tribes have created a regulatory authority that will oversee the enforcement of their tribal laws and to make sure that marijuana or cannabis isn't being diverted where it's not supposed to go, and that the tribes are in compliance with the Cole Memo 8 priorities. And there are fees for this to make sure that the authority stays well funded and can actually do its job, and that the cooperative can grow slowly and lawfully. And so that if somebody comes onto the reservation and purchases the tribally grown cannabis, they can leave the reservation and be legal, in our view, under California law. So that's what two of my clients are doing, but I can tell you what's happening around the state and around the country because it's quite interesting. I have a client that's in South Dakota. We're not helping them with this. They're doing it on their own. But they, in South Dakota, there's no medical marijuana laws. In fact, the state government there has a very dim view on cannabis use, and they actually have a dim view on whether or not medical use is a real thing. But this tribe is also progressive in their thoughts, and so they're going to allow social adult use or adult use on the reservation as long as it's consumed on the reservation. So these guys have a small casino, and what they're going to do is near their casino, they're thinking about having kind of a spa lounge. They can go in, and if they have medical needs, there'll be people there who can address those. Or if people just want to enjoy it, they can go there and enjoy it without any fear of reprisal from the tribal law enforcement. They are working through that, and of course the challenge there is what happens to the people who leave the reservation. Will they be stopped and arrested and harassed? And so they're working through those issues with their local law enforcement. Other tribes, for example, in Washington state, they're working with the state government to enter into compacts with the states that will look a lot like what we know as gaming compacts. So as background, when tribes want to conduct gaming anywhere in the country, and have what you might think of as like Las Vegas style gaming, they have to enter into an agreement, a compact with the state government to allow for that. And so what happens is that the state's part of the regulatory scheme for those casino operations. Well, that model is being applied to cannabis in Washington, where the tribes are saying, look, we want to work with the state. We want to make sure that if we're going to be a participant in this industry, that we are going to be doing so in a way that's going to keep the state happy and keep local law enforcement happy. So that's the route that they're going. Other tribes in Arizona and New Mexico and Nevada are still trying to figure out whether they want to be participants in a state scheme or in a tribal scheme. So it's kind of neat. So all around the country, there are tribes who are interested in this. I think a lot of them are coming at it from the right viewpoint, is that they think that legalization is important and that cannabis should not be a controlled substance. It should not be a Schedule I drug. And they also see that there is some economic benefit to the tribes. So that's what's happening around the country. And you know what I would love to do is if you guys have questions about what tribes can do, what their plans are, and I'm happy to share what I can about what my clients are doing, but it's still somewhat confidential. So are there any questions out there? Yes, ma'am.
So what tribes do you know of in California that are working?
Sure. Well, I know of, so the question was, what tribes in California are working to provide cannabis? I know that there are 2 tribes in Southern California outside of Palm Springs. One's called Torres Martinez, and the other is the Santa Rosa Band. They're both working to establish cultivation centers. Their goal is to just cultivate and to find a way to work with non-tribal cooperatives and collectives nearby. I know that the Torres Martinez group is working with a developer that's a native-owned company, and their plans are to have, I think, a small facility at first and grow it over the next couple of years. There's also the Pinoleville tribe, which is the one that got the biggest news back in December when they announced they were going to have a 100,000 square foot grow facility on, I think it was like 10 acres or something. I know that that tribe is not at all doing anything at this point. They're still in their planning phase. And from my understanding of what's happening there is it's going to be quite a while before they do anything. Yes, sir.
Do you know if the residents of who live on the reservation are supporting this, or is this something that's coming from the tribal government?
Sure. So the question is whether the residents on the tribal lands are supporting this or whether it's coming from the tribal government. That's a good question. So I know, for example, at Torres Martinez in Santa Rosa, he did a vote of the tribal citizenry, and in both cases, it was something like 70% in support or 90% in support of doing this. One of my clients is a larger tribe in California, and the way they work is they don't have an initiative style process, but they have smaller bands that did town hall meetings. And based on the town hall meetings, the tribal council decided that a great majority of the tribe was in favor of pursuing this endeavor. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said the Indian tribes of Washington State wants recreational marijuana. I thought it was legal recreational in Washington State already.
It is legal, and tribes can certainly operate under state law to be participants in that endeavor. But what they want to do is operate under tribal law and have that be coextensive or consistent, rather, with state law, but operate under their own rules. Yes, sir.
So are there any tribes that recognize cannabis as a sacrament as part of their, and does that give them any special access rights?
The Arizona years, but it does not provide the product that I know is recognized to have some kind of.
So how soon before we go to a casino on an Indian reservation and have social consumption on site? And where do we go?
I would say that for a lot of the tribes, they're probably not going to co-mingle these with cannabis use until the laws change. And the reason for that is an enforcement role in how their casinos are operated, and they're and one of the casino proceeds for some unlawful use. Until the federal law changes, they might be next door to each other, but they won't be in the same place.
And how soon? And where?
Probably South Dakota, probably 6 to 8 months.
I heard that you either had cannabis or there was either or in the law that we found.
So the question is whether the law says you either have a casino or you have a cannabis operation. That's not the case. So the reason that you're seeing these smaller, more remote tribes do this is because if they have a casino, it's not very profitable, meaning it just provides jobs for tribal members. And so they're looking for other economic tools to help them, because let me back up and explain why they do this. See, the city government, the county government, and the state government, they operate on mainly tax revenue. Tribes don't tax their own citizens, so their source of revenue either comes from the federal government or from economic development projects like casinos. So they look at the cannabis industry, they have 16 with legalization, that they want to be part of that and have an economic mechanism or an engine to help fund their tribal government programs. Yes, sir.
What can we do as advocates to meet their goals?
Especially assist tribal goals. Well, I think the biggest challenge that the tribes have, in California at least, is transporting cannabis off of the reservation. As you guys know, the laws regarding transporting cannabis are very murky at best, if not confusing. So any changes in law that would allow for clearer guidance on how you transport the product are very helpful.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do the Native Americans expect to have the same challenge as others in the industry?
We do have the same challenges because tribes use regular bank accounts, as the rest of us do. There are tribal banks out there. The problem with tribal banks is that they're trying to operate under federal charters as well, or federal insurance, and so it creates the same problem that we have.
Are there, does BLM, is there some interaction with them, and do they back off if they're?
So the question is whether there's interaction between tribes and the Bureau of Land Management. So tribes really fall under the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is also in the Department of the Interior. So far, the department has been very, very quiet on, and that's probably a result of the fact that the Controlled Substances Act is pretty clear that it's illegal, and the feds probably are just taking a wait-and-see attitude, I think. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Can you imagine the publicity? Feds raid.
Well, I can tell you that, there's California has 110 Indian tribes. That's about half of all the Indian tribes in the lower 48. If all the California tribes got together and a number of the ones outside California got together, I think we'd see a lot of change happen in Congress. So that's one thing that we can do to help you. You
Yes.
will welcome us.
Yes.
Welcome to tribal help.
Let's give them a hand. Let's give them tribal help. Rarely does someone come up here and represent a constituency that's been using cannabis longer than I have. So I give you a strong endorsement for that. And there are people in the industry, Patrick, who know how to handle the transportation issues. So if you need some help, just let us know, and I'm sure we'll contribute all our efforts in your support. Next, I'm moving right along here. I'm privileged to introduce to us, to all of you, Dale Geringer, who is the director of SacNORML statewide. He is a fellow Harvard graduate. He has been a tireless advocate for cannabis all over the state for decades. And we're really privileged, and it's my honor to introduce him here today. Dale Geringer.
It's great to be here, and it's wonderful to see so many people in this room, standing room only. Hey, a lot of familiar faces and a lot of new faces. Good to be here in Sacramento. So let me just go through. This is a very timely moment to be here because, as it happens, just today, we are releasing our new California NORML newsletter, a pile of which we have conveniently brought with us for distribution in Sacramento. Assistant Director Ellen Kopp here is handing them out. But let me just go over a couple of the two major topics in here, actually. One of them has to do with state legislation that is currently happening here in Sacramento. And the other one has to do with the 2016 initiative, which I think everybody would like to know what's happening with. Let me begin with the initiative because it's our headline story. SacNORML is part of a statewide coalition known as ReformCA.com, which is sponsoring an initiative, a general legalization initiative that will be on the ballot in 2016. I'm really happy with the coalition that we have here. It includes the Coalition for Cannabis Policy Reform, which also includes ASA. I think we have ASA is here. Emerald Growers Association. We have the Emerald Growers Association here. The California Cannabis Industries Association, the NAACP, and a host of other groups as well. And we are working with two major national partners, the Drug Policy Alliance and the Marijuana Policy Project, on what we hope to be a unity statewide coalition initiative in 2016. This initiative has not yet been sent to the Attorney General's office. Oops, oh, here we go. And hasn't been written yet. Although we have done a lot of research, we have done polling, and we have been up and down the state listening to people from San Diego up to Shasta County, talking to advocates and interest groups to get their input into what we want to do in 2016. And I'm glad to find that there's really a general consensus, a growing consensus around the state that 2016 is the opportunity and that we will do it. Why haven't we submitted language yet? Because we are still doing polling and because there's some important events that we have to wait upon. One of which is the Lieutenant Governor, Gavin Newsom, who, as you know, is a strong supporter of legalization, has a blue ribbon commission that is going around the state, doing hearings, and is going to issue a report on what it thinks should be done about legalizing marijuana. That report won't be out probably until late this summer. We want to make sure that what we do is in line with the Lieutenant Governor's wishes. We're hoping and we're expecting that he will be a supporter and proponent of the initiative. That's one thing we're waiting on. The other thing, which is equally important and weighty, is what is going on in Sacramento, because there are major bills currently pending in the legislature to regulate medical marijuana, and whether what we do in 2016 will depend very much on what the legislature does or does not do this year. If, as we hope, they come up with an acceptable bill to regulate medical marijuana and it does get passed and signed by the governor, then we will probably want to build on that bill, making necessary adjustments to it, because I'm sure it will be imperfect, whatever they do. But if, on the other hand, they don't pass an acceptable bill or they pass a terrible bill, we're going to want to override an unacceptable bill. And if they don't pass anything at all, we're going to have to regulate medical marijuana ourselves in this initiative. This is going to be a comprehensive initiative. It's a cannabis initiative. It's medical cannabis. It's non-medical cannabis. Both of them have to be taken care of and regulated comprehensively in a way that Californians feel comfortable with. And I can tell you that, the comfort level of Californians is very important, because I know all of us in this room feel very strongly and we're very comfortable with legal cannabis, but the rest of the state is a bit queasy about it. And I can tell you that we have done some preliminary polling, and it shows that an initiative is winnable, but there are lots of cautions about that. And the public is uncertain and queasy on a number of things, and we have to be careful with how we pose things. So those are issues that we're taking into consideration. However, later this summer, there will be language submitted to the Attorney General that everybody will be able to see, and we will go from there. And there's a question, yes.
Well, if you're talking about putting language in this thing, on Friday, the Democratic Convention
It'd be really a good idea.
Well, yes, we will be at the Democratic Convention, in fact. There's a booth at Brownie Mary, the Brownie Mary Club. Thank God bless Brownie Mary Club. And we'll have a booth at the convention, and we will have literature down there. And there's also going to be a special event, hospitality suite, hosted by Sam Plowder's Unity Coalition. And I guess that evening, or the evening, Saturday evening or Sunday evening at 10 o'clock or something like that, where there will be further festivities. So yes, we will be at the Democratic Convention, and the Democrats are very supportive of us. As you know, the party has endorsed legalization. So those are things to look forward to. I can also say there are, in fact, half a dozen other initiatives have already been submitted for the ballot. You will hear the next speaker will talk about one of them. SacNORML itself is not endorsing any other initiatives. We are committed thoroughly to the Reform CA Coalition. If that stumbles or doesn't come through, we may turn to something else. But at the moment, we feel very strongly it's important to stick with the Unity Coalition here, and we do have lots of resources available to do this. So that's 2016, and we're really looking forward to that. In the meantime, Sacramento, just a word about what's going on here. Hard to say one word because there's like 20 different marijuana bills in the legislature. A lot of them minor technical things that we're not terribly concerned about. But the major issue in Sacramento at the moment is actually regulation of medical marijuana. And as you may know, there's, well, really three major bills at the moment that would establish a comprehensive medical marijuana regulation system. Two of them in the Assembly. One, AB 266 by Ken Cooley, who's from Rancho Cordova over here, which is also sponsored by law enforcement, our good friends in law enforcement in the California League of Cities. Which brings some support with it, but also some problems, as I think everybody here can appreciate. And there's a second bill, sponsored AB 34 by Rob Bonta from Oakland and Reggie Jones Sawyer from Los Angeles, who are friends of ours, I would say. Those two bills are both headed to the Appropriations Committee probably the last Wednesday of this month. And the legislature is going to have to decide what to do with them. Now, let me say, there's been a lot of work done on these bills. AB 34, the Bonta bill, has really got a lot of good features incorporated in it. The sponsors have been very attentive to our input. The bill is really in excellent shape. It has some features that I think are really important as we go forward. In particular, for example, it establishes a provisional licensing system starting January 2016, next year, whereby people who have already been operating in the industry and abiding by local laws or the Attorney General's guidelines for the last several months would be eligible to get early licenses, basically, starting next year. We think it's really important to start getting people coming out, registering with the state, making themselves known and becoming legitimate participants. This is particularly important, I think, for the growers out there. A lot of the dispensaries, like the dispensaries in Sacramento, at least most of them are recognized by the city here. Of course, they would be recognized by the state, but the growers are, everywhere in the closet at the moment. So we're hoping that they will come out with the when state registration begins. The Bonta bill also prescribes for this license for a tiered licensing system where you distinguish amongst small and medium and large growers and players in the industry. We think it's important that they be treated differently so that we don't have the regulators all just licensing large capital investors the way they're doing in the East Coast, who put down $500,000 for an application and may even not get a license for that. We think that's too much. We want to make sure that there's some allowance for the small scale people who've been doing this for so many years. The BONTA bill has that window in it. The Cooley bill doesn't have those features. The BONTA bill has another feature that we've been lobbying for a long time: reciprocity for out-of-state patients. That recognizes them. Let's see. Anything else come to mind real fast? Anyhow, we like the BONTA. We like the BONTA bill with there's one clause in it that we do have some problems with, which is it forbids people with felony drug trafficking convictions from participating in the industry. Now, we feel very strongly that felony marijuana convictions should not be grounds for being barred from the industry. In fact, some of those people are the very best industry participants. But let me say this, even if law enforcement feels very strongly the other way about this, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to try to keep drug felons, including marijuana felons, out. But even if that law passes that way, it is something that we will override in the initiative, and we can override it easily because we're not going to allow that to persist. So we're not terribly worried about that, but it is an objection to the bill. There's also, I will say, there's some, I think, heavy-handed and excessive regulation on the industry in certain respects, with transportation and some worker provisions that may be excessive. We're leaving it to our industry friends to work on that and lobby on that, but we think that they're workable the way they stand. I see Hezekiah's hand.
I wanted to note one other thing about AB 34 that we're especially excited about is that it defines and exempts non-commercial cultivation and cannabis activities. So it really protects the non-commercial patient cultivation and possession. So I wanted to.
Okay, so that's very good. Now, as I say, AB 266, the Cooley bill doesn't really have those features, and but you know, the most important difference politically at the moment between these bills may actually have to do with a totally different issue, namely what regulatory agency is in charge of everything. We don't feel terribly strongly about that so long as it works. We do like the idea of having the Department of Agriculture regulate cultivation, and we think it makes sense for the Department of Public Health to be involved in the food safety and labeling aspect. And the BONTA bill names several agencies, those two agencies and the Alcoholic Beverages Commission for like distribution, like at dispensaries, and the ABC, of course, regulates similar things currently with regards to alcohol. And but beyond all of this, the BONTA bill will have language to have a commission or a task force, basically a task force to try to supervise and coordinate all of this stuff. We think that that's probably the most realistic and economical approach because it uses existing agencies to do things that existing agencies know how to do, and it will be less costly. However, a lot of people hate the ABC, and particularly law enforcement and the League of Cities hate the ABC and won't have anything to do with it. So their bill, the Cooley bill, rather than have this multiple agency approach, says we're going to establish a whole new agency, a new division under the Department of Consumer Affairs. And this new agency is going to be in charge of everything, and they're going to work with local governments. They're going to actually share. Cooley bill gives a lot of responsibility to local governments, maybe more than we would like. That's another difference between these bills. Okay. Now, the problem with this Department Department of Consumer Affairs, by the way, is the agency that oversees things like the medical board, cosmetologists, and all of these other random licenses that the state sets up. Problem is, the Department of Consumer Affairs doesn't want to have anything to do with this, and neither do important decision makers in Sacramento, including the Senate Business and Professions Committee, which said in no uncertain terms that it will not accept a bill that uses the Department of Consumer Affairs. But you might also know the Department of Consumer Affairs is currently in a scandal where they've wasted hundreds of millions of dollars trying to establish an information technology system. So they've botched a big job recently. Putting a new agency in the Department of Consumer Affairs would also be very expensive, probably $30 million, and that is an obstacle that the legislature is going to be very concerned about. So the issue in the legislature is, can they settle on an agency that won't be too expensive and that everybody can agree on and that will get through the Appropriations Committee? I don't know whether they're going to be able to do it or not, but I think that's actually the major political challenge. I also believe that Mr. Cooley and Bonta and Joan Sawyer will all come together and sort of take the better features of other parts of their bills and meld them together in some one bill that will emerge on the Assembly side if any bill does, in fact, get through. There's also a bill in the state Senate, which I haven't mentioned here before, by Senator Mike McGuire, who represents the North Coast. Really good guy, very receptive to us. His bill is less bells and whistles on it, isn't so well developed. He's working very hard to try to bring it up to snuff and make it similar to the Assembly bills. And so his bill will be going through the state Senate. He has to go through the Appropriations Committee there too. So he's still working on that. It's a piece of work. Everything is a piece of work. So we're cautiously optimistic that something like the Bonta bill will get passed and approved, and then it has to get signed by the governor. But we have no notion what will emerge. There are other regulation bills out there. There's a bill, I won't go into them all. There's the wood bill, there's bills on concentrates and so on and so forth. But the newsletter tells it all. So with that, I will actually end my discourse. If anybody has any questions about the Sacramento scene, I'd be glad to entertain them.
Yeah, thank you. If you didn't pick up already, one of the best legislative wonks in the state, standing here before you, Dale Geringer. I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize a couple of other advocates who are here. If you just stand up, Ellen Comp, also with SacNORML. I just want to make sure everybody recognizes Hezekiah Allen back here of the Growers Association. Don Duncan over here with ASA. I just want to let you know we've got some heavy hitters here in the house. So if you have questions, don't hesitate. These people love to talk about what they love to do. So real quickly, Ron has some comments. Excuse me, Granddaddy, if you don't mind. Ron, go ahead.
I was just going to let our viewers know that if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comments section, and we will answer them. We have 3 viewers right now, and if you're just tuning in, you can ask questions in the comment section. We will get with the speaker and answer your question, not necessarily on mic. And then also, don't forget Jan's doing the raffle, silent auction.
Okay, so a warm appreciation, applause for Dale Geringer. Thanks for all you do today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your contributions. Okay, so moving along, our next speaker is going to be John Lee. John Lee is a proponent of the MCLR, the Marijuana Control Legalization and Revenue Act. I think it's fair that I disclose to you that last year I had the opportunity to be a proponent of this bill and declined because I was concerned about having too much visibility, and I needed they wouldn't let me sign this Granddaddy Mike. I had to use my legal name. So this year, I don't have the same hesitation as Michael Grafton. I'm one of the proponents of MCLR. So here's John Lee. He's going to enlighten us about that initiative. Technical difficulties. I want to use this opportunity to say I also I bought 10 raffle tickets, so if you want to increase your odds of winning anything tonight, I suggest that you buy some tickets from Jan over here. All these good prizes up here on the table are going to be for sale, and I encourage you to increase your odds of getting them so I don't have to take them all home. Okay, once again, here's John Lee of MCL.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, everybody. Good to be back up here. I know a lot of folks here, so it's been a few months, and was surprised about the agenda here, so I apologize for not knowing the kind of turnout, but pleasantly surprised. I didn't come here well prepared to do anything other than to give everybody an update and to have a chance to follow with from Patrick and also from Dale is a pleasure because we're learning a lot every time we come here. And most of you who knew and understand what MCLR did through the last few years, our interest has always been about cooperation and collaboration. So what we've come to at this point, as you may know, is that we did indeed file. So some of the things that Dale hit on here, of course, we're still continuing as advocacy in some ways, doing a few different things, and that's somewhat the concern that's been discussed up here before. So I've been known somewhat to speak a little plainly about these issues. I've been doing this for a few years in my efforts to try to bring cooperation from everyone. Dale, in fact, I'll mention, might remember back in 2012, we made an attempt in San Jose to try to bring folks together following the difficulties in 2010. And we all learned in 2012 that we had too many advocacy groups to be successful in that year. And MCLR was created and put together as a grassroots open source process for 14 with our intent to bring everybody to the table. And everybody in this room had an opportunity, and I know a lot of you did, and people throughout the state did contribute to the original draft of MCLR 14. And what it was done, we then had it legislatively and legally revised. We did submit it. We got a successful title and summary, so that if you go back at 14 and you even look at our site now, you can see the results of that. So again, some of the things that we're all talking about here is what's happening in 16. And what we've all spoken about and why people come to SacNORML and other areas to discuss how we're going to get on the same page together. And we've been talking about that for a lot of years, and now we're at 16 and we've more or less all agreed that this is our year. And as we've heard, there's a lot of activity at the statewide level in the legislature. We need to pay attention to that. There's a lot of activity going down in Southern California that we don't represent real well up here, but we know we have a huge state, so we can't forget about what's happening down there. This is an interesting time, and I could talk about a lot of things, but I want to talk about not the process. I don't want to talk about the details of MCLR specifically. We're not here to argue details, I don't think. We know that we all have a lot of differences in regards to that at this point, but we're coming close. The process right now, as an example with the MCLR, is it has been filed. We're currently in the public comment process. So you can go to the state website, as you can continue to do at our own website, and contribute to the language. And that will be public comments available for everyone to see. We then have till 5/20 to take those comments, and 5 days after that, submit an amended version for a title and summary and fiscal analysis. That will occur approximately 30 days later. So if you look at the state website, you'll see that we expect our title and summary and the fiscal analysis around 6/20. We've been very open about our process. So we're not shy to discuss the fact that we probably intend to refile. The reason being, again, if you understand our methodologies, we're looking to have the most current document. We heard Dale speak about the intent and goals of what they're currently working with, and the idea that we want to do something that's current, or at least has access to the most information, the best information we can to make sure that it's viable when we come to the polls. That's always been the methodology of MCLR. We've stuck by it. We've been true to it since day one. We continued our outreach. The document has always been available for anybody to contribute. and we're continuing to do that to this day. One of the things that you saw, if you've seen the 4th and now I believe 5th initiative having been filed related to marijuana, is one that was put together by Omar Figueroa and Heather Burke. It was the Artisan Growers Initiative. It's a tremendous initiative focusing on growers. Omar and Heather did a great job in communicating with us. We continued our collaborative efforts, and Omar signed on as a proponent of MCLR. So that's an indication, again, that we're not only talking about cooperation, but the community is actually doing what people have asked. So the fact that Omar and Heather are working with us and see the value of the extent of our document is indicative of what we can do as a community. So although others have suggested we have other documents coming forward, we're hoping, of course, by filing that we did something that we all need, is generating real discussion about hard words and language. So although we have filed, the opportunity is still available for everybody to contribute. The opportunity is still available for everybody to comment and be a part of the process. Now, again, what does that mean? Why are we still looking at 3 or 4 or 5 different groups at this point? Well, the fact is, a lot of people have been working pretty darn hard for a lot of years here, and they've developed some interest of their own. They've developed some interest of large groups of people that they want to continue to support. And it's not because any one group is doing the wrong thing necessarily or doing bad things, but we've struggled for a long time to create the leadership that we need to take it to the finish line. Well, you know what? We're being driven that way right now. I say we have no choice. In 16, we have to be on the ballot. We have to be on the ballot with a quality document. We have to be on the ballot with something that's legally and legislatively viable. We have to be on the ballot that makes sense to the majority of Californians. And we have to be on the ballot with something that we can all join together to get behind. We've heard discussions about where our opposition and our opponents are. We are reaching out to them. We all are. I know everybody that's working on legislation is talking to the opposition, but what's key is we need to hear them. We need to publicly acknowledge it. When we go to the BRC, we need to acknowledge the information that's coming out of it, and we want to cooperate with it. When we talk to the League of Cities and the prison guards unions and other oppositions, we need to acknowledge that we not only understand what they need, but we're going to address it in good legislation. And we have to do it properly in 16, because if we don't, the things that we all and everybody in this room, I believe, consider a goal will not be reality. So I'm a little bit frustrated we got to this point. We're still not all together on the same page, but I think we're getting there. I feel 100% more positive than we did a couple of years ago. What do we have to offer for everybody here? We have an open discussion. We have continuing opportunities for people to come to the table. I don't mind calling people out and indicating that we are communicating to them. I see Hezekiah in the back room. Had some great discussions with Hezekiah. I see Dale here, obviously. Ellen, tremendous respect for all the continuing information that you provide to the industry. We've got so many good people, not only in this room, but throughout the industry. But we have to step up, and we have to make an understanding that we do have to get together, as we are doing, so that we continue to talk towards the finish line and take appropriate actions. So a lot of effort here by everybody in the room. What I want to do for MCLR is to let everybody know we are still open for comments, both on our website and on the state site. We indeed have a path developed. We do have the MCLR committee that has been created. You can go to our website right now and you can donate to the campaign. Our interest will continue to be to bring everybody together. The door is open for us. We're holding meetings continually to try to create some cooperation and ideally get to the finish line together. So you've caught us in an interesting snapshot in time right now. There's a lot of activity happening in the next few weeks and few months. We look to try to work together to bring this together, but the key is, what can we do for you? If you have questions, bring them to my attention now, and certainly go to the website, contact any one of us. The door is open. Please, we want to help everybody get to the finish line. So thanks.
What's the website?
Website, should announce that. Thank you. MCLR.us. MCLR.us. It's a great website, been around for a long time, as you all know. And we have information not only about our latest press releases, a lot of good context and information there, as I said, and you can join and assist us. But once again, I don't want to go away from here without reminding everybody that this is an open process for us. Our door is open. We're willing to listen to everybody, and whatever we can do to help get us to the finish line, we appreciate. So thanks. Any questions? Anything I can help you with?
That's good. Thank you. That was a great update. It's good to see you. two things that have been coming up lately, just specific policy pieces, are the drug driving issue and access to kids. I'm curious if you could comment at all about provisions that you have in your language on those two topics.
Thanks, Hezekiah. Drug driving is something we're all challenging because of the recent indications that we're seeing related to saliva testing and breathalyzer. That's obviously an open portion of our document that we're all addressing. It's almost impossible for me to even comment on that. I think it'd be senseless for anybody to address that particularly right now. Once again, just on the grow limits and the personal possession units, as we have signed and filed our document, we're seeing a lot of activity right now, people discussing that, even as we've been doing for many, many years here. But ultimately, more and more people are having that discussion. So in relation to that, I'm sorry. And what was the other part of the question?
Kids, access with kids. These are the things that are coming up outside of our movement a lot in my travels.
Again, a lot of drafting was gone into MCR in regards to that, and we did follow the DOJ guidelines, and we're specifically concentrating on that. So we do a lot of things, of course, related to protections, both on the packaging side and controls. We do discuss transportation and other issues. What's key in our document that we're happy about is the creation of a diversion process. Built within our document is a commission. I think, again, we heard some discussions about an oversight commission in California. We did design that into MCLR, but we also designed in a diversion process for children that's handled at the municipal level. This is something exciting, too, because we obviously want to take, this is, again, speaking to the choir here, but we want to take the children in any kind of diversion or anybody in diversion away from the hardcore criminals, so we want to create something independent. So I hope that answers a little bit, Hezekiah.
Totally, thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Great. Well, thanks again. You know how to get a hold of me. I'll be around a lot more, and we're all working together for everybody here. So thanks again.
Thank you, John, for coming up here and address this. Really appreciate you coming. I have a couple of just update comments. I was remiss earlier when Dale Geringer was up here not to say that as SacNORML, this organization here tonight, you know, we are basically members of SacNORML, and I want to encourage everybody to go online to the SacNORML website and join SacNORML. Even though SacNORML is focused primarily on our local events in the Sacramento, it would be, we would have our heads in the sand if we didn't realize that we still exist within the state of California. So in order to be, excuse me.
Also, there's a coupon to join in your newsletter, and if you join, write down SacNORML on it, and we'll also make you a member of SacNORML, and we'll give half the money to SacNORML.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much, Ellen, for that spontaneous offer. So I encourage everybody to look in your SacNORML newsletter and exercise the rights of those coupons to join both groups simultaneously. I also give us an opportunity to recognize and appreciate Percos for allowing us to continue to use this venue for our meetings. Okay, they've been most solid, most supportive. If the food isn't the best, at least the ambiance is. I also, sorry, backhanded, but I also want to just admonish people, please, if you decide to go outside and have a smoke break, move at least like 20 feet away from the front door, up the side of the sidewalk, just out of respect for the other clients who aren't privileged enough to be attending our meeting while they're here. We had a scheduled speaker. Rudy didn't show up, so I'm going to move along. Next thing on my agenda says, encourage them to buy raffle tickets again. So if anybody hasn't already been encouraged and wants to exercise an opportunity to beat the odds and win one of these great prizes that we're going to be giving away soon. Once again, Jan is over here holding up raffle tickets, and please contact with her. So moving right along, now we have the members of the board who are going to get up, and we're going to give, we just have 2 or 3 minutes each to talk about some special topic that we want to talk about. Ron, our executive director, is going to go first, and he's going to talk about the Blue Ribbon panel that's coming to Oakland soon.
So we still have 3 viewers, which is good. We didn't lose any. Real quick, I got an email, and I just wanted to announce they are having a public forum for the Blue Ribbon panel. The forum will be in Oakland at the Youth Education and Prevention on youth, it'll be on youth education and prevention. It'll be held in Oakland at Youth Uprising. And that's 8711 MacArthur Boulevard, 10:30 to noon. If you didn't see the last one, they did an all telecast. We were able to watch it much like people are watching our podcast right now.
When is it?
The date is May 19th, 10:30 a.m. to noon. And we're going to be posting this again on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and of course you can always go back and rewatch the podcast. And then the only other thing I just wanted to kind of, I was in attendance of the swab test, and I wanted to give a shout out to CCIA who provided the person who tested positive for marijuana. And what they did was they brought one person who works in the office who's in a suit, who's completely sober by all our standards, who had recently used his medicine, and he tested through the roof. They didn't even want to announce to the group because to the eye he was fine, and they don't want people associating their swab test with, putting people in handcuffs who look fine. So the bill's been killed for this year, and I think it was due to those efforts. At least partially. There's a great story about it in our newsletter, and then I noticed their newsletter, SacNORML has also covered it, and there's a lot of other great information. So that's all I have. Well, there's more stuff, but Dale covered most of it, and probably other people will cover the rest. Real quick, if you don't get our newsletter, it's completely free. You can do take a picture of this and go straight to it, or it's an eURL through MailChimp, so you can get it on our Facebook wall. It's on our website, SacNORML.org, and the podcast has a link to it. That's it for me.
Thank you. Ron Mullins, Executive Director of SacNORML. So next, we have Richard. Richard Miller is our Deputy Director, and he'll tell you what he's here to talk about.
Thank you, everybody. Just to give everybody an update what's been going on. Last week, Placer County. A lot of people don't understand Placer County's ordinance. They need to be aware of what they're doing. Know what you need and only grow what you need. Collective growing is not legal in Placer County. We went before the Board of Supervisors where they were going to try to put a ban, or at least the people thought it was going to be a ban. They were asking the community to come together so they can create an ordinance that's sensible. And with the outpouring of support that came out from the community and our own normal directors, I want to thank you for stopping the cultivation issues going on in that county. However, they're taking a wait and see approach. You must know that no two collective members can grow, or any more than two members, and they can only grow if they live in their own house and they're growing on their own property. Your first arm of defense is being good neighbors, so you should be considerate of your neighbors and have setback zone and not overgrow. 99 grows are going to get you in trouble in Placer County, so don't do it there. They said they're going to take a wait and see approach. We're working at the table with them. We will be meeting with them over the course of the next few months. I have my first meeting with them next Wednesday. I'm meeting with one of the board's supervisors and their two assistants. And we're going to sit down and try to create an ordinance that's sensible, because right now, anybody growing in that county that is growing collectively will be brought down. They're really targeting the Sheridan area. That seems to be where most of the abuses are taking place. So I just want everybody to be aware of what they're doing. Only grow what you need and know what you need and stick to that. If there's anybody that's doing any large collective cultivation with multiple patients will be brought down. They've taken aerial surveillance of the entire county. They're aware of the abuses and they're going after those patients this year. So just be careful. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. So next, Kim Cargile, our treasurer.
Woo! Yeah. So I just wanted to send out an invitation to everyone here to to invite you to our local chapter of Americans for Safe Access. We meet the last Thursday or the fourth Thursday of every month at about 6:30 p.m. at Garden to Grill Cafe, 2315 K Street. This month we're going to be doing a 2315 K Street. It's the Garden to Grill Cafe. We usually meet out back in the summer, upstairs in the winter. And this month we're going to be doing a Google Hangout. So we're going to be talking with advocates throughout California on the internet with California ASA, talking about a variety of different things. But basically, ASA is Americans for Safe Access. It's an organization promoting safe and legal access to medical cannabis for therapeutic use and research. And in our meetings, it's a time for people who are interested in becoming advocates to come learn how to become a professional advocate, a well-informed advocate, and for advocates to come to just get inspiration, to hang out with your friends and find out what they're doing and become inspired to continue to do great work in our community. So if you're interested, we hope to see you the fourth Thursday of the month at about 6:30.
Thank you, Kim. So moving right along, our secretary, Heidi Grossman here.
Hi, everybody. We had a really exciting opportunity at the Sacramento City College on their career day. So we actually got to go speak to a bunch of people at the college, students, and help inform them on what's going on in our industry. The medical industry is the largest growing industry in our nation. So anyway, this was really exciting. It was fun. And we're also working with the career department. If you have a business or an organization and you'd like to sign up on their list, let me know. Because college students can earn credit by doing an internship, and sometimes they get paid jobs. So that's really awesome. And since this is the fastest growing industry, we hope to reach out to them more. Kim is actually already teaching a class at Sac State. So we're hoping, and we're talking with the Career Center, trying to bring that into Sac City too. So, and then tomorrow night is the Cafe Serendipity meeting. Cafe Serendipity people are here tonight. It's tomorrow night at the Crest Theater. If you're interested, we have some pamphlets here, and I would love to see you all there and get your input, and you can find out what's happening in our industry with franchises.
Thank you, Heidi. So next, Lynette, you have something you want to say?
Oh, probably just a little bit.
Lynette Davis, also a member of our board. Davies, excuse me.
I just want to remind everybody, because I've been working a little bit in criminal justice reform, and we did pass a very important proposition this last time, which was Prop 47. As these new laws are coming forward and on all of the state regulations and how they have to do with felonies, I want to remind everybody, regardless of how long it was, if you have a personal drug possession charge on your record, you can file for a motion to have that reduced to a misdemeanor. So you will be concluded in this industry regardless of how they want to try to come up with these laws. So all you have to do is actually put in a motion for that. So I want to remind people that even though you may have been burned for 20, 30 years, and if you have that possession, please put a motion for it to have that reduced to a misdemeanor so you're not left out of this industry.
Thank you, Lynette. So I look at the agenda and I find my name next. So I'm going to introduce myself. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to take advantage of my slot here to first make an announcement. There's some haters out there in the industry who are spreading a rumor that I am under a federal indictment. I just want to categorically deny that it's not the case. I was never arrested. Charges were never filed. So that's not an accurate statement. I just want to clarify that so that everybody out there knows that I'm standing here publicly announcing that I have never been arrested by the DEA. I just thought it was important to clarify that. There's some people out there, unfortunately, in the rumor mongering business who are stating otherwise. And I said, want to publicly clear the air on that. I also wanted to just use my time to endorse my friend, Ed Rosenthal. If you don't know who Ed Rosenthal is in this industry, then I strongly suggest that you do some research. He's basically been writing the book on cannabis. Matter of fact, by writing several books on cannabis. The latest one, Beyond Buds, concentrates and extract, and he has developed what he calls the Marijuana User's Bill of Rights. So this is a simple one page, the whole thing is on the back of a postcard. And this is what Ed Rosenthal thinks we should do for legalization of cannabis in California. And I just want to make these available to anybody that wants one. Just come and find me and I'll give you one. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't refer you to edrosenthal.com, where you can go and look up this information. So next we have Marcia. Marcia Blount is going to.
We've already talked about it.
We've already talked about the Brown American. You didn't announce the speaker at your next meeting.
The speaker of my next meeting will be Granddaddy Mike.
Hey!
Wow!
Woo!
But we'll be announcing it next month because the next Brown American meeting is in July.
Okay, so that's the July meeting. I'll be speaking there. Moving right along, Jackie unfortunately is ill with the flu and unable to attend today. So my next introduction is going to be of Ryan Munavar. Ryan is here. He's the executive director of Upcoming Normal, which is the Santa Cruz Monterey branch of SacNORML. So please, a warm welcome for Ryan. He has a spokesperson.
Hello. My friend Mark and I, we drove up. He's actually the treasurer for Monterey County Normal. And we're actually here to report on something else. Jackie asked us and invited me to come up and describe what's going on in Santa Cruz. And currently in Santa Cruz, they tried to put in an ordinance that was banning 10 by 10 grows, anything beyond the 10 by 10 grow, which was really bad. So we didn't like that too much. And we tried working with the Board of Supervisors. And for the most part, it seemed like it was coming along well, but they were steering us in a different direction for what was really good. So what's amazing is when they actually went to a vote the first time around, it failed. Well, it actually succeeded 3-5 in favor of this ordinance to ban 10 by 10. And then the second time, they just wanted to get the meeting over quick. So they said, all right, everybody we're just going to go 5 for 5. So it passes, right? Well, you get about 30 days for the group to actually come together and do something. And Mark actually was one of the lead organizers for the entire project and the brain behind a lot of stuff that went on. And we needed to raise over 8,200 valid signatures in Santa Cruz County in order to put a referendum in. You only get 30 days to do it, so there's a huge time crunch on it. And last Thursday, we turned in a week and a half early over 11,000.
Right on.
So we actually stopped it. So if you want to learn more, just look up the RCSC and check them out online. And that's Responsible Cultivation Santa Cruz, and see what comes up next for us. And if you have any questions about how this process works, after the meeting, go ahead and talk to Mark because he's a solid one to give you the best answers. RCSC.org. It's .org, right?
RCSantacruz.org.
RCSantacruz.org. That's it.
I just have one quick question. When do you find out if your signatures qualify?
There's a statistical sampling they first do, and they want to see if you're scoring validity over 75 to 80%. So they do a rough test. They did like 500 in a count. It took like 2 days. And then they came back at us and they're like, okay, you guys, you meet statistical standards. Since you turned in over 11,000, you're good to go. So it's just one county, but it's an interesting thing to have happen. So it's some good news. All right, thank you, and buy a raffle ticket.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for coming all the way up here to talk to us up here in the state capitol. So next, Shelby Lucero.
Well, thank you guys all for coming tonight. We have people that have come from all over, and I just want to thank you. I want to talk tonight about the different ordinances and bans around the state of California. We have 52 counties, and thank you people from Santa Cruz for coming. That's really cool for you guys to come up here. I have a friend in Santa Cruz, and we met him right before they did the ban. So he's a great guy too, and he's been telling me they're red tagging people's homes if they find grows there. I mean, come on, really? Butte County and Yuba County, they put a flyer that went out to all law enforcement, and they went to CPS, all that they called it first responders. They're trying to take people's children away for having gardens. They said that they were looking for prescription narcotics, marijuana grows, and marijuana patients. So they're trying to say that cannabis could be potentially lethal to their child, which is a very sad thing. Actually, it's just an excuse to take their child from them. Very sad. Yuba County is doing really well. I know Rich came up and he had a Yuba County shirt on, but he didn't get a chance to talk. They actually, their county did a urgency ordinance which took away their vote to appeal their vote, the board of supervisors vote. And the vote, they said, was because Yuba County, the drought that was going on right at that time, they said that it was because of the drought. My words. The drought actually, after they did the ban, the Yuba County Board of Supervisors sit on the board for the water board for Yuba County, and they sold the water for beautification rights to the Bay Area and to Southern California. I mean, how crazy is that? So, in addition to that, they filed another appeal with the, what court was that they filed? Appellate court. They went to the appellate court, and then now it's back to the Supreme Court, and now it's back, it's undecided. I think that's Tuesday of next week we're going to hear that. And Butte County currently has problems too, as Shasta, so your voice counts. If you are a person that lives in a county and they're banning your cultivation, go speak to the Board of Supervisors. Go speak to them, go stand up. Your voice matters, and that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelby. So I'm gonna switch some of the order here in the announcement of the upcoming events. I'm gonna ask Don Duncan to come up next. He's gonna talk to us about Americans for Safe Access and their lobby day.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me back. My name is Don Duncan. I'm the California Director of Americans for Safe Access, and I want to invite you to an event that's coming up June 14th and 15th right here in Sacramento. So it's going to be really easy for you guys to attend. We're doing our 4th annual Medical Cannabis Citizen Lobby Day. We are hoping to bring 300 people to the state capitol to talk to lawmakers about medical cannabis. There are 20 bills in the state legislature that touch on cannabis or medical cannabis this year. I've never seen anything like this before. And so we want to bring people to the halls of the state legislature to talk to their lawmakers about these bills and bring the perspective of the stakeholders directly to lawmakers. We have found the best outcomes occur when the people who are affected by laws are the ones who talk to the lawmakers. And so there's a role to play for advocates, there's a role to play for lobbyists, there's a role to play for staff and specialists and what have you. But the stakeholders, the people affected by the laws, need to be the ones in the front line talking to their lawmakers. And this is your chance to do that. And so we're going to be here for 2 days doing this event. On Sunday, we're having 2 local workshops, one about regulating cultivation and another one about using the local initiative process to move forward in your city or county, because that's going to be very important in whatever regulatory scheme is adopted this year in Sacramento for medical cannabis. And then on Monday, we're going to go en masse to the state capitol. We'll have a legislative briefing. We're going to provide you customized materials about all of the bills. We'll set up appointments for you with your senator and your assembly member. We're going to go out there and meet with everybody in the state capitol, all 100 office bills. This sort of thing really matters. It really changes the perception of lawmakers of medical cannabis to bring us on par with other statewide movements, environmentalism, organized labor, teachers, what have you. It really brings us up to that level. I've seen a sea change in how state lawmakers relate to medical cannabis since we started doing this event 4 years ago. And I want to relate this one anecdote. Last year, our people went in to talk about regulatory bills, but we're passing out fact sheets about the need to protect people who need organ transplants. And 2 women who registered for the lobby day went into Mark Levine's office. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Sorry. Okay. Went into Mark Levine's office and dropped off a fact sheet about medical marijuana and organ transplants. And this year, Mark Levine called us proactively and asked to introduce the bill, the Medical Marijuana Organ Transplant Act, AB 258. And so that is a direct result of citizen lobbying. We did not reach out to him. He reached out to us because his constituents came to him to talk about medical marijuana and organ transplants. This year, we're going to be talking about comprehensive patients' rights for 2016, because while legalization is on the agenda and is going to dominate that conversation, we still need to talk about discrimination related to employment, to parental rights, to access to health care, including opiate medications, and to housing. And so these are really important issues that we're going to be talking about with lawmakers, breaking the ice, planting the seeds for next year. And so I want to encourage you to grab these flyers. They're on the table right back there in the corner. See, there they are right there. Grab some, grab a few. There's a huge stack. If you work at a collective, take a bunch. I want to encourage you to start passing those out. 300 people, and we can make a huge difference in Sacramento, June 14th and 15th. The cost, by the way, for the workshops is $15 each or $25 for both. The lobby day is a requested donation of $25, but nobody will be turned away for lack of funds. And so I really want to encourage you to come out and be a part of this. Just waiting your time the whole time. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. And next, we have an announcement of another lobby day. Hezekiah Allen of the Emerald Growers Association, who lit us up last month.
We have a reception on May 28th at Chops, but we haven't gotten our lobbying agenda together yet. So watch Facebook, website, sign up for that's the one. Sign up for our email list, and we will have information soon. But there is a reception on May 27th, rather.
So foiled by my agenda. Sorry.
That was my bad.
Appreciate
Sorry.
that.
Yeah, sorry, Ron.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Next upcoming event, we have an announcement about Cafe Serendipity. And I haven't been told who's going to speak, so introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Ray Mario. This is Lester. We're here. We appreciate the venue and stuff. It's not the right place to pitch a business opportunity, but we want to invite everybody. Tomorrow, we're going to be presenting our business opportunity. And again, it's watching everything happen across the United States. We're getting ahead of the game here, and we're operators. We understand retail, and we have quite a bit of momentum right now with a number of stores that are and growers that are branding with us. So we'll be presenting our business tomorrow. So everyone is invited to attend that.
Where and when?
6 o'clock at the Crest Theater, downtown on Bay Street.
Do you have a website?
We do. There's brochures on the table.
We have two websites. Cafe Serendipity Holdings is the corporate site.com, and then we have cafeserendipity.com. And sports teams will be there. We appreciate the work you guys do, the hard work. That's what's necessary. And we're hearing it. We're hearing it from. Our business nationwide, so we're hearing it. We're hearing what's going on in California, what's happening there. You guys are definitely at the forefront of that and making it happen. So it's not just here in California. We're looking at it from all over. So you get that all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. All right, open discussion time. Anybody have any questions that they would like to address to any of our previous speakers still in attendance? Any comments? Anybody else has something else they want to say? Andy over here, an activist and revolutionary, usually has something inspiring for us all. No?
As a matter of fact, I do. Ready for that. About a year ago, we started a campaign against the water profiteers here in Sacramento. Quickly, what's happening with the water profiteers is you have companies like Nestle. They're sticking a straw in the ground. They're sucking up our water. They're putting it in little tiny bottles, selling it back to us for 10,000% profit. We're not talking 2,000%, 30%. We're talking 10,000% profit. We shut down Nestle's twice. Which on the second time we got international attention. Was very excited. We have a couple of TV shows coming out. But here's the important thing. On June 11th, June 12th, which is a Friday night, at exactly 5 o'clock, 16th and J, we will be at the governor's mansion. Now, TED Talks will also be letting out at that same time. at 7,000 people, as well as it being Friday rush hour. It's going to be a party down there, a really big party. We plan to make it very clear to the governor we have two demands. One demand is that we stop the water profiteering here in California, leave those aquifers alone for the people that own the aquifers. Luckily, that wasn't water, I'd be in trouble. The second one is that we're calling for a moratorium on all fracking. As we all know, fracking water is coming right back into our aquifers, it's coming onto our farms, and it sucks. So we'd love to have you guys out there June 12th. It's going to be an exciting action, and it'll be a blast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, ma'am. Quick time.
For all of you that go out and pay that dollar for water, realize all that is the same water that's going out of your tap going through a purifier.
Exactly.
Don't get yourself a big real goddamn purifier, or just some water in your refrigerator, and stop that goddamn bullshit. Because it's the biggest scam ever.
It is the biggest one.
Remember, there's no water, there's no water, there's no weed.
And you are drinking tap water. And that's funny, is I tell labor hasn't gotten involved like they should have. And without water in California, there ain't no labor. So we all need to be involved in this. I mean, water is a precious commodity to all of us. We want to see agribusiness and big business start actually watering the proper way, you know, and we have some big plans if we want to save California and make it not into a desert. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Okay, how many people think that California grows the best weed in the world? Okay. How many people realize that California also grows the most weed in the world? Okay, and certainly we're the highest producing state in the country. So we take pride in that, and I'm glad to share that pride with all of you today. People have talked to me often about being, you know, a long-term pioneer in this industry, and you know, so I'm constantly talking about things that are on the front line. I want to let you know that here in California, we're uniquely poised to bring not only the best quality natural ingredients, but also the latest scientific knowledge and technology to this industry. So I want to just predict, later you'll remember I said this, that sometime in the next 2 years, in the legal market of cannabis, you will be able to buy 99.8% pure THC powder. Right? I also want to let you know that you'll be able to buy 95.6% pure THC wax. Okay? And neither of those products will have any terpenes, any flavor in them, because as most of you know, 6% by volume of the cannabinoids that come off of cannabis are the terpenes. So they don't contribute anything to the THC, so they're sacrificed in order to get the concentrations high enough so that we'll have a product that will allow us to chemically infuse cannabinoids into virtually any product that we want to. So that's where we're going, folks, and it's not too far in the distant future. Some of us have small access to these kind of products and have worked on the development of them already. They'll be available to the general public, like I said, in the next couple of years. So we take pride in this industry here in California, and we endorse that pride here at SacNORML. So without further ado, I think we're ready to move on to the raffle. Everybody feeling lucky? Everybody had an opportunity to buy their tickets. Okay, last chance for tickets and support. Okay.
We're ready to start? Okay. Usually we do this before the meeting, but this gentleman, Tim, here has brought some shirts. I told him if he put one in our raffle, he could try to sell to you guys. So is that cool? Everybody cool with Tim's shirt? Tim, show him your shirt real quick. And we're going to raffle this off first.
I created this legalized shirt. As you can see, I dropped Cali right over the word legalized. It just works perfectly. So I have this shirt. I'm going to donate an extra large to the raffle, but $8 for a shirt like this. I also have it on white and gray for $5 if you're interested. And I've also created 2 local shirts Here's one based on our motto, City of Trees.
I have that.
Awesome. Yeah, so the people at A1 Therapeutic have bought this shirt. Richard has some. But you can see all the statues are smoking up, which creates a smoky Sacramento lettering up here. And it's got sleeve prints, 420 on one and 916 on the other. And it's a nice soft shirt too, 100% cotton, ring spun soft shirt. It's not a cheap shirt. And I also made a San Francisco design based on Tony Bennett's song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Only in this case, it's all smoky hearts. Everyone's smoking up, creating the smoky hearts. And it has sleeves as well with the smoky heart thing, 420 and then 415 for their area code. So anyway, wholesale prices for individual shirts tonight. And I'd love to sell you all a shirt.
Okay, we're gonna let him draw the raffle ticket for his shirt. We're doing a different raffle today. After the shirt, we're gonna also draw 5 more tickets, and the ticket holder gets to pick their prize. The paintings are not included. Those are part of the silent auction. So Tim, if you would be so kind as to draw one. The winner of the Legalized Cali shirt is 558931. Come on down, pick up your shirt. Woohoo! Get a picture of me giving this to her.
My goodness.
She wins.
You just bought one? Okay. Do you want to go up and pick something up at the table? Are you sure? Okay. We have a donation back. Okay, one more drawing. All right, ticket number 558950. Whole meeting's waiting on you. 950. Going once. Oh, yeah. Andy. Andy, you gotta look at your tickets. Did you buy one already?
I already bought one.
You give it to me.
Okay.
You want it?
Yeah, you can have it.
It is an extra large.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. All right. Now the next 6 tickets we're going to draw. You get to pick your own prize. Please, if you don't mind, let Keith take a little picture of you with your prize. Shelby and Heidi and Jackie worked really hard to get these prizes. Suzette, ticket number 965. Pick whatever you want from the table of trees. Oh yeah, I bought this Obama plate from her garage sale. She voted to me. Traded it for like $1,000. Okay, next one up is 889. Get your tickets out. 889, you're a winner. No name on the back. Kim Cargill. Oh, I like this better because half the time people win like what they voted. Okay, our third table winner today is 558994. That would belong to Heidi.
Yay!
Is there something on the table you don't already have? That burlap bag came from SacNORML. I was eyeballing that. Nice. Okay, now our fourth table choosing winner today. This is, should I let him have this? This says keep this coupon. Richard Miller, you did the wrong one. But you can still come on down and get their prize. You get the door prize.
I'll take the hash.
Okay. Number 5. 2 more left. Suzette. Don't begrudge Suzette. She deserves it. She works hard. The raffle gods have decided she gets 2 prizes. Okay, one more, right? Did I just count 6? One more? All right. Ralph. Oh, a new guy. All right. You got your name on the podcast. I want to thank everybody for coming out. If you have any questions or anything else, feel free. We're going to be here for about 15, 20 more minutes. And please bring friends next time. Our goal is to outgrow this venue and find a bigger venue. So we were 45 today, and our biggest point was 5 on the podcast, not including ourselves. So I guess that's something.
Thank you, Ron.
Quickly, if anybody local knows of another venue that we could move into where we could be accommodated a little bit better, a larger meeting room, preferably that serves food and beverages during the meetings. We're anxiously and actively looking for an alternative replacement venue. Okay, folks, did everybody have a good time? Did everybody learn something?
Yeah.
Does everybody recognize we are a community? We are not alone. And together, working together, we can accomplish our mutual goals. Yay, all of us. And thank you for those of you that are listening in. And look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Remember, it's always the second Wednesday of every month. And we'll be meeting right here until you get announcements otherwise. Thank you very much for coming.